What's up, everybody? Daniel here. And today I will be basically practicing Oracle database on my computer. Um, I am actually not prepared, or I didn't prepare for this video. I'm just gonna be loose and just do whatever it is that I have to do without actually preparing, because I want you dealing or working with Oracle database be part of my, I don't know how to say this, but just make it natural. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through certain commands that I learned over time, etc. So I'm just gonna first start by explaining how I use the Oracle database compared to how we're supposed to use it at school, of my curriculum. So at school, they expect us to install SQL plus the graphical user interface software and other softwares as well, and use your database that way. I, on the opposite side, decided that I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to use containers and use uh, um, my database that way, and I'm going to be using them on a Linux system. And if you know that there's no graphical user interface for Linux. If we're talking about SQL plus. So I just use everything on my computer, on my terminal, I meant to say. I'm very nervous for this video, I don't know why. I need to record more to make it. Okay, I also can't speak properly because I haven't made a video in a long time, and I haven't spoken English in a long time as well. But yeah, anyway, so I use Docker. So usually my Docker containers have stopped, so I'm just gonna use my computer to use my terminal to check which Docker containers are active and not, and if the Docker container that I intend to use is off, I will start it. So I'm gonna sudo docker container, type in my password. Okay, sudo docker container ls. Okay, we don't have any Docker containers running. Sudo docker container psa. This command is used to check all your Docker containers, and then there we have a whole list of Docker containers. So the one that I'm interested in is this one. This is my Docker container, and its name is called Oracle Test. So I will cd into it. So, well, no, I'm lying. I'm gonna first start it. So sudo docker docker container. I'm sure you can see container start IE4, which is the container ID. I'll do this. So IE4 has started. I'm just gonna clear this terminal. So IE4 has started. So now I'm gonna bash inside the Docker container. Sudo. I'm not sure if bash is the correct word. Oh no, it is actually the correct word. Sudo docker container exec -it and bash. IT IE4, which is the Docker container ID. A truncated container ID, and bash. I just use IE4 because, well, in Docker you don't have to write down the entire ID of the Docker container. You can just use whatever truncation, or you can trim it down to however many letters are necessary for you to actually, for the Docker system to know which container you're talking about. So now I've bashed. So, and also I'm going to be using a lot of papers. These are some of my notes that I've created this past week when studying or practicing Oracle. And yeah, so since I'm inside my Docker container, I will now I'm gonna log in as the system DBA. So I learned a lot of things regarding Docker over the past week. In fact, I've been studying Docker for now, I think for 2 months now, but on and off in a way. and I didn't really give it a lot of time, but considerable amount of time, right? And it is important for me to mention that I already do know how to use or work with SQL. I've used MySQL for some of my projects, but I've never used Oracle database, and they're different in the sense that Oracle is so much more robust and complex, and it has so many more features, etc. And they take security very seriously, and it's just a lot of these things that I had to learn in my curriculum. The recommended textbook that we use, and I wish I had it here. I would show you which book we use, but it's called Oracle 12C. No, is it Oracle? Yeah, Oracle 12C SQL by Joan Steele. And in the book, when you first open the book, they basically tell you how you need to install a predefined or pre-created database that they've created, and you just import that database, and the database is created for you, and now you just log in, and now you can just start manipulating your data or the data inside the database as a system admin user or a Sysdba user. And they just, like, the first chapter, second chapter, third chapter, all just SQL statements, like the select statement, inserting, deleting, creating of tables, deleting of tables, truncating, etc. It's only until chapter 7 where they start talking about creating and managing, I think it's role, user creation and management, something like that. That's the title of the chapter. I think it's chapter 7. Where they start talking about creating users, creating roles, assigning roles to users, etc. And I don't like to learn that way. I like to learn, I want to know how to get the thing running in the first place, right? So I use something like a bottom-up approach instead of an up-down approach, top-down approach. So that's why I focus so much of my time in learning how these. That's why I started with chapter 7 basically, and also I would say that it was advantageous for me to start with chapter 7 because I already know how to insert, delete. SQL doesn't really change database to database. It's just maybe a few minor SQL differences here and there. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to start now. So let me log into the SQL. So first of all, I learned a lot this past month, I guess, about users. In fact, past week, I learned that there's a difference between a sys user. So we have a sys user, sys like this. We have system user, and we also have some role called Sysdba. So these three things are completely different. Sys is basically the all administrative user, the number one user. It's like the god. If you created this database, you can do everything, you can manipulate any and everything. System is kind of like sys, but it has less privileges. You can't do everything. You can't let me try and remember. You can't do things such as migrating the database or deleting the database or just like getting rid of the database. You can't do stuff like that, but almost everything else you can actually. And then the Sysdba is like kind of like a role that is assigned to sys, and that's what gives sys all the privileges that they have. So that's when you log in to the system database or to the database, you would typically say log in as sys as Sysdba. So you're just saying, hey, log me in, I'm the system administrator, and log me in with these privileges called Sysdba, and then you'll be granted every right you can, every right there is or every privilege there is in the database. System, however, is a little bit different, like I mentioned. There's another role called DBA. DBA is it's just like a database administrator, and I'm not quite sure of all the differences and privileges that they have in comparison to system, but they do have a lot of power in the database. So, and this is a role that is predefined. You can't create this role. So in SQL, you could actually do something like create role and then the role name. Yeah, role name. But you can say create role DBA because it's already predefined. There's actually a role called DBA already. What you can do is you can create your own role and you can assign the DBA role to your new role. So you can actually assign a role to a role in Oracle. And yeah, roles, if you don't really understand what I'm saying, roles are used to help with management. As in, like, so in a system, you would typically want to have a manager, maybe a deputy manager, maybe a developer, maybe a salesperson, etc. Instead of individually giving those, granting those people privileges, sometimes you find that there's a whole team of software developers, and you want to grant them all the same level of privileges, right? So instead of granting each and every single one, it becomes a tedious task. I mean, of course, you can automate it and whatnot, but it's just better if you have roles and you just have one role and you grant that role certain privileges, and then you can have users. You can grant that role to multiple users, and whenever you don't want a certain user to have privileges anymore, you can just remove them out of the role. So yeah, as an administrator, as the DBA privilege also grants you the ability to grant other people roles as well. You can create, add people, grant roles, and revoke people from roles, or revoke roles, I meant to say. So yeah, I haven't started. I've been yapping the whole time. There's just so much to say. That's the thing. I don't even know where to start. Okay, the first thing that I need to start with is to actually log in to the database. I'm inside the computer, as you can see. I've bashed inside the Docker container that's running my Oracle. So now I can call SQL Plus, and it should ask for a username and a password. However, logging in like this is not what I learned. I don't have enough knowledge about this yet. I'm still researching, learning. However, logging in like this as system or sys will not work. Okay, I was lying. It did work. Okay, okay. So this command right here that I just typed, not command, but this login method. I just tried it here now. I didn't know that it would actually work. However, it did, but that's not the point. The point is that. Okay, let me just explain why this is remarkable to me. Okay, so the past week or so, I've been trying to log in. I've been practicing a lot of different login methods, and I tried logging in this way and just typing in system. Oh no, okay, I now understand. Okay, I just had an epiphany of a lot of things. So I'll just start by saying that usually I would type in system here. That's before I learned the differences between system and sys. So I'd say system, and then I give the password and it will log me in. And then once I'm logged in, I'll try and grant roles, create tables, or call, do certain things. And things didn't work. I didn't understand why. The reason why it didn't work is because whenever maybe I call the select command on a particular table, I should be allowed to actually view that data as a system user. However, I didn't get the data because I didn't know how to use schema. I didn't fully understand how schemas work. I'll explain schemas in a second. However, as soon as I learned schemas, now I knew to call when I using a select statement. I now knew how to call or now knew how to access elements in a table by saying schema dot table name. So in this case, sys dot customers table, or in full select all from sys.customers semicolon, and it'll generate me the data. Okay, fine, but I still couldn't understand what was going on. So I used sys as well to log in this way. In fact, no, I didn't use sys to log in this way, but I did use sys to log in. I think I would first log into the database. No, not the CDB, which is a container database, and then I would now log into the what's it called? The portable database. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, in Oracle we have two ways in which you can do things. You can just have one dedicated database right here, and it's just your database. It's an Oracle database. That's it. Requires less what is it called, administration, really, because you don't have a bunch of database inside, and you don't have to manage all these portable databases, etc. You just have one dedicated database. On the other hand, you could use something called container database, which is one form of database, but then inside you have multiple portable databases inside. If you ask ChatGPT or Gemini, it'll explain a concept such as like a building, and in that building you have a lot of apartments, and every apartment lives a person, right? So everyone has a person you would imagine users or people who have granted roles in those apartments, etc. So that apartment flat, think of the entire building as this container database, and those apartment flats inside of the database as the portable databases. So the entire building is responsible. The only way it manages the portable database is maybe supplying them with water, supplying them with electricity, etc. But then those portable databases act or work in their own space. They don't need anything else. They are their own independent databases. And yeah, that's a portable database, but you have a database name. So the portable database is not actually the name of the database. So in my case, I have XEPDB1, which is my portable database name. However, the actual name of the database inside of that portable database is called books. It becomes a mess, but yeah, I've been talking way too much. Let me log in, and then we'll see what happens. I'm just trying to figure. Okay, so I'm just gonna log in as a system DBA, right? So this is how I usually log in. I'm just gonna exit this and try and log in again. SQL plus sys, and I'm gonna type in my password. And then I'm gonna say at localhost, the port number 1521, the DB name, which is the portable database name, XEPDB1, and then I'm gonna say sysdba. The reason I keep referring back, okay, I made a mistake, I think. Okay, I don't know why I made a mistake. I'm gonna do it again. Oh, XEPDB1 SSDBA. So there we go. Now I'm logged into the SQL database. This is the actual container database. So I think I can do things like select username from, is it DBA users? So there's a table called DBA users. So what's going on here is that, let me just read the command again. I went select username from DBA users. So DBA users is a table that I think only the system can access. Actually, no, I'm lying. In fact, I think every user can access this data. There are tables that are created, and so one thing that I learned from databases is that there are multiple other tables that are created to do other things that you don't have to concern yourself with, right? If you don't need them. And such in this case, we have a whole bunch of tables that we don't need or use, but you can like refer to those in that information to help you do or make decisions and determine which SQL commands to run, etc. In our case, in this case, we have a DBA users table that returns all the users that are relevant to your account. So in case of sys, it'll display all users. I mean, you're at the top of the range, right? So as you can see, we have the sys, we have system, and then we have all these other users that I don't know their purpose. We have student 01 that I've created. We have Daniel, we have student 02, we have John. And student 03. These are the users that I've created myself. And Daniel is actually an administrator, or I've granted Daniel the administrative role. So he's a DBA user, or he has the DBA role. So there's so much to unpack. I don't even know where to start or where to even begin. But okay. If I had logged in, as you can see how I logged in. Okay, I think I cleared out the console. But how I logged in directly to the PDB, because I used /xepdb1 as Sysdba, etc. That xepdb1 is the container, as is the portable database. So I logged in directly. If I had not logged in directly and I had just logged in into the CDB, which is the container database, I would have to alter my session and move from container database and move into the actual portable database. I would enter a command such as alter session set container to xepdb1. I would have to do that, and yeah. In fact, it's not 2. Replace the 2 with the equal sign, and it will take you to the PDB, to the actual PDB, and then now you'll be there. So now, since I'm already logged into the PDB, I can start calling select statements. Select all from customers, and I can get the data from the customers table, but I wanna format this so that it looks a little bit neater. So I learned that you could in Oracle, on the terminal, you can say set line size 120, and then just call the command again. And that's my customers table. So yeah, that's just how Oracle works. So like this, remember, I don't want to get into SQL commands, etc. I want to focus on the role management or user and role creation and management part of the book. So we can create users. In my case, and how do you create users? You would say create user, and you would give them a name. So in my case, I did say student 03. And then I also, after this name of the user, you say you give them the password. You say identified by, you don't have to use caps here, and then you give them a password identified by 1 2 3 4 5 or something like that, and then you can just end it there, and then the user would have to use this password to log in with that username. Well, they wouldn't be able to log in immediately. You would first have to grant them the privilege to log in, but I'll show you that in a few. What I want to speak about now before the end of this command is you can decide to give them, you see how some websites you are given a temporary password, and maybe they give you a password, you have a username, maybe it's your email address, you are given a password to log into the system. When you go and try and log into the system, they tell you that you need to change your email, your password. Sorry, you need to change your password because your password has expired. This is no different. You can do it in Oracle as well, and you do it like this: password expire. if I do this, or if I run this command, and I'm just trying to verify if I wrote the right commands, I can't find my notes. I have other notes that I can't manage to get to. Did I write? Maybe I wrote this. I can't figure out where I wrote the rest of my commands. Okay. Maybe I misplaced them, but it's fine. Let's just find one command that I want. Well, not one command that I want, just one piece of paper. Yeah, you would type that in, and when you log in, it would expire the password, and the user would now have to log in with another password. I feel like this video is already too long because I'm just going off. I think I'll just do a part 2 and a part 3 and part 4 or something. So we'll just implement this in the next video where we actually have a user log in, and I'll show you that it won't allow the user to just log in if we haven't granted the session for them to log in. We'll go over creating roles, we'll go over setting roles to roles and giving privileges to other users, just like how we're gonna grant the student 03 with the privilege to log in, and etc. So let me just end this video here.